I'm going to give you some tips about assembling Harrod arches, and the first thing to do is to check that you have all your components. In each kit you'll get a checklist. From then you want to make sure that you keep the parts in separate piles. For example, these parts here are only a few millimetres different. Keep them in separate piles so you don't end up with a problem halfway through the assembly. The arch that we're putting together here is a Roman arch, and it's surface mounted with sockets above ground and secured with pins. But you may have an in-ground mounted arch, so just be aware that you may have a slightly different arch than the one here. The final thing to say is if you do have any problems, please call our UK technical helpline. Just to reassure you, all our products come with our own step-by-step English instructions, so assembly really isn't a problem. When we're talking about surface mounting arches or pergolas, we're referring to these surface mount sockets. Now, if you've got awkward ground with builder's rubble or some bricks, etc. in the ground, then these pins will go through here and drive straight through, and they make installation very quick and very easy. Also, if you're mounting onto a concrete surface, then you'd use these with our concrete fixing mounts. Okay, so the first thing we want to do when we're assembling the arch is select the correct crossbar, and bear in mind there are two different sizes, or in some cases three different sizes, so make sure you have the right one, and then simply put in the end connectors. You might have to tap them with a hammer, a soft mallet at this time. With the other crossbars that are slightly shorter, you need to put the expanding connectors into each end and do that multiple times. These just slot in very simply, and if they are a bit tight, then just simply tap them in with a soft mallet. The next stage is to assemble the top of the arch with these two hoop pieces here, and to insert the cross piece here, which goes in there and there, and simply just presses down, and it can be tapped home with a soft mallet again. I'm now going to put the crossbars in that we put the connectors in earlier. You can simply do them up finger tight for now. I've just done that finger tight, and we'll go around and lock the connectors with the Allen key afterwards, and by turning the Allen key and turning the screw, that actually locks the connectors in place. They expand and lock into the end of the bar. Now it's a simple process of putting the rest of the bars in. Right, all the crossbars are in place now, and I've just tightened up all of the bolts so that the connectors are locked in, and we're now ready to go on to the next stage. We now just started to assemble the upright sections. It's always easier with another pair of hands. The upright that we're assembling here is for a surface mount design. Obviously, if you've bought an in-ground design, then you'll have a further 40 centimetres on the end of this upright that would go into the ground. The next stage is to lay the top section down and attach the uprights. And just a gentle tap with a soft mallet will drive the upright onto the top section. So the final stage of assembly for the surface mount arch is to put the foot plate on, and with the aid of another person, pick the arch up. If your arch is in two pieces, such as this Gothic example here, you will have to join them with linking plates like this. One thing that you mustn't forget is to put the bolt through this plate, which will hold the ridge bar in place, which we'll come to later. Then that plate just goes on like that. Put the nuts on finger tight for now, because when you put your arch together, you tighten that up finally then. When you're joining both halves of the arch together, you'll use the ridge bar here, fastened with the bolt that we talked about earlier, and the Allen key goes through the hole from the plate behind, and that simply goes into place. I'm here with a below ground arch to give you some tips about how to install it. You can see that on the uprights we have an extra length here which goes into the ground 40 centimetres. In the instructions it gives you full information about how to measure and place your arch, and when you've done that you'll need to make a hole for the legs to go into. Now with the optional hole former it makes the job a lot easier. It's not just any old piece of steel, it's a thick wall piece of steel, and it really can take a big hammering from a sledgehammer, so it means that you can put the holes into quite hard and tough ground. When you're making the holes, it's a good idea to have a spirit level handy, so when you drive the hole former in you can ensure that the hole's going in vertical, otherwise your arch won't sit straight. Let me show you how to use the hole former to make the hole. First of all, I've marked 40 centimetres on it to give me a guide of how deep I need to go into the ground. Then I find the position about where I want the hole to go, and I simply start to drive the hole former into the ground. When you're driving it in, it's a good idea to take a spirit level and check that the hole is being formed vertically, otherwise your arch won't be vertical. When you've driven the hole former all the way down to the mark that you previously made, then take the hole former out and you're ready to insert your arch. I've repeated the process of making the holes 4 times, and now we're ready to insert the arch into the holes that we've made. When you've done that, just have a final check for level, and if you need to, give the arch a bit of a tap to ensure that everything is true and square. When we're talking about surface mounting arches or pergolas, we're referring to these surface mount sockets. Now, if you've got awkward ground with builder's rubble or some bricks, etc. in the ground, then these pins will go through here and drive straight through, and they make installation very quick and very easy. Also, if you're mounting onto a concrete surface, then you'd use these with our concrete fixing mounts. And of course, one of the major benefits of a surface mount arch is you can build your arch and then move it to exactly where you want it and get the position absolutely perfect. Now this is the final stage of installation. Check your arch's level and you're completely happy with the position of it. If you need to, you can adjust the height slightly with these locking screws here, and then simply drive your pins in. Obviously, you can repeat the process at each foot plate to secure the arch, and because of the video, we're putting the foot plates on top of a turf, but obviously if you're in your own garden, to pay ultimate attention to detail, you can cut the turf and cover the foot plates up nice and discreetly.